If you would like to learn how to crochet a flat circle using single crochet, then this is your video. I would highly recommend you watch all the way through because I'm also providing some extra tips and tricks on how to make it easier to remember how many stitches you need to increase per round. So let's get started, shall we? So in order to crochet a flat circle using single crochets, we're going to start with a magic ring. I like to cross over my yarn like that, hold it with my finger in place, and now I use my hook to pull up a loop right there and then hold that in place. Now I'm going to adjust my hand in order to pick up my yarn, insert my ring finger into that loop, and then that way it holds it tight. And now I'm just going to make one chain, and now we're going to start placing single crochets into that circle. In order to have a flat circle, you're going to probably test it out a little bit. Typically I use 6 single crochets, but it also depends on what yarn you're using and what hook you're using and what tension you have. So most of the time it's going to be 6 to 8, sometimes even 5 to 8, depending on what hook you're using as well as what yarn you're using. So let's do it with 6 single crochets. I'm using here worsted weighted yarn and a 4mm hook. So 6 single crochets into the circle. So once I did so, I can now pull my yarn here to close up that hole. I do it very nice and tight, and then I can weave in that end later. I like to actually use this as a stitch marker, so I kind of hang it over between the last stitch I just did and the very first stitch I did in that circle. I hang it in between to show the location between the last stitch and now the next stitch of the next round. So here we go. Now we're going to insert our hook into that stitch right there and place a slip stitch. There we go. So now we're going to chain 1. So now that we did that, we finished our first round. I like skipping the chain of 1, the turning chain, when I do single crochets, but feel free to still do that if that feels right to you. For me, it makes it a little bit more bulky in there, so I prefer skipping it. I have a video on that, on why I skip it and what the difference is, so check that out. It's called Smooth Edges for Single Crochet and Half Double Crochet. So let's do that. So I'm going to place 2 single crochets in the same stitch for round 2. I do that all the way around. So in every stitch, I place 2 single crochets. And there we go. Now we reached our stitch marker, so I didn't even have to count, so I know exactly that I now have 12 stitches. I'm going to pull out my stitch marker, which is pretty much just the end of my yarn, and move it up 1 row. So now I'm going to place my slip stitch right there. So that's it. And I slip stitch to the first stitch of that round. So now we have finished round 2. So now we're going to start round 3. And round 3 is starting a new type of repeat that you're going to use over and over again. So let me show you what that means. You're going to place first a single crochet in the first stitch. And now the next stitch, you're going to place 2 single crochets. Now you're going to repeat that. In the next stitch, you're placing 1 single crochet, and in the next stitch, you're placing 2 single crochets. You're going to do that all the way around. And there we go. I finished round 3, and now again, I'm moving up my stitch marker, and I place a slip stitch to the first stitch of that round that I just finished. So that repeat that we just did, we're going to expand onto it, which means we're going to now do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and now we're going to place 2 single crochets. So that means every round you're adding 1 single crochet to it. So let me do that again. So 1 single crochet in one stitch, another single crochet in the next stitch over, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Repeat that all the way till the end. There we go. So now, again, you're moving up your stitch marker. You're placing your slip stitch to the first stitch of that round. And now you're going to keep going. That means in the previous round, we did 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets. Now we need to expand further. And now we need to do that 3 times. That means 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and that is 1 in each stitch. Another 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to do 2 single crochets. Again, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and now 2 single crochets. So do you see what I did? Every round, we're now going to add 1 single crochet per stitch before we do the 2 single crochets per stitch. So there we go. So again, we're going to slip stitch to our first stitch. And now you're going to keep going. So you can see how flat my circle is. I have my yarn kind of tucked here, so it is completely flat. One more important thing is that you can actually see when you need to increase. If you look a little bit closer, you're going to see that the 2 double crochets are always on top of each other. Look very close, you can see it. So actually, sometimes you don't even have to count. You just have to do 1 single crochet in each stitch until you hit the 2 single crochets. And on top of that, you're going to place 2 single crochets. That is how you're going to continue expanding and making a flat circle using single crochets. I hope this tutorial was helpful on how to make a flat circle using single crochets. Please leave me a comment below and let me know if this was helpful to you. I also have a complete Learn How to Crochet beginner guide for you if you want to check that out. There's a link down below in the description as well as the written tutorial of this video. Be sure to like, comment, and share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, I'll see ya. Bye!